Peter Schrager, the popular co-host, NFL Network's Good Morning Football, FoxSports.com senior national writer. And he is on Good Morning Football. Airs Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern. Also this week, working with the Browns and Broncos. That'll be Thursday Night Football for Fox, Amazon Prime, and the NFL Network. Peter joining us on the program. Pete, the possibility of Derrick Henry winning the MVP is what?
Strong national spotlight game. I think he needed that. He's been doing it. He's on pace to have one of the greatest running back seasons ever, and that's with a 16-game season or a 17-game season. But last night was big. A lot of times with the MVP and with these voting, it's what you do on Monday and Sunday night when the entire country is watching and you get that, oh, okay, the numbers are there. He's throwing his team on his back. They're 4-2. I think they're going to win that division pretty handedly. If they can stay healthy enough to win that division and he can break all these records that it looks like he's on pace to do, I think he's going to be considered in the conversation, which is so fascinating because I don't know if there's another running back in the league who's even in the conversation of the top 20 in the MVP right now.
When you look at Emmitt Smith's all-time rushing record, do you think that there's a running back? I don't know if that's a record that's breakable, but if you're going to try to handicap a running back in today's game, is Derrick Henry, the last that we'll see that could come close to something like that?
I think so. And we try to throw their names out. Like this offseason, it was like, actually, Nick Chubb might be Alvin Kamara without Breeze. And it's just not like that. McCaffrey can't stay healthy. These other guys aren't in the same conversation. Henry does it year after year after year after year. I said today on Good Morning Football, if he doesn't take another snap his entire NFL career, he has a Hall of Fame argument to be made. He's won the rushing title twice. He's carried his team to the playoffs twice. He's had big playoff moments in Baltimore, in New England. And what he's doing this season might be his coup de grace. So I don't think there will be another one like him, just the way these offenses are built and just the way that he's built. Najee Harris was the first running back taken in this year's NFL draft. He's a nice player. He's going to have a great NFL career. Is he ever going to be Derrick Henry? No, I don't know if anyone will. Just the way that they use him and the way that he gets better and better as the seasons go on.
Yeah, but I don't know. So you're saying Derrick Henry has a Hall of Fame resume right now if his career ended?
I think so. He's the best of his generation. I think if you write the history of the NFL, who was the best in his generation? Adrian Peterson's going to the Hall of Fame. Yeah. Who's the next one? You can't just say there's not going to be a running back for 15 years, and he's the guy. It's going to be a nice 4-year window, 5-year window in NFL history where he's going to be first-team All-Pro every year. I can make the argument that if he never takes a snap, he's in the conversation. Does he get in? I don't know. If Terrell Davis gets in with 6 seasons of great numbers and what Derrick Henry's doing is eclipsing all of that, except for the Super Bowl rings, of course, I think there's a conversation to be had for Derrick Henry in the Hall of Fame.
I was wondering about Lamar Jackson because he doesn't have a running back, that maybe he is more valuable to his team than any other player right now. Your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. And what Lamar's doing this year is doing it. He's skinning the cat a little differently than 2019. He's throwing more. He's making plays without that great running back duo behind him, which at that year was obviously Mark Ingram and Justice Hill and all those guys that were there with him. It is the Lamar show on offense, and he's doing it without Nick Boyle, his top tight end, who blocks for him, and with a bunch of receivers who have not really elevated their games yet. To me right now, the MVP, it changes week to week, whatever. Right now, if I was to cast my vote, I would have a very hard time deciding between Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, and I'm going to throw a third name in here that might get a big hoot from the Danettes. I think Derek Carr's in the conversation. Derek Carr is having an outstanding season. They're 4-2, and if this team can do this without John Gruden as head coach and with them not missing a beat and getting the best out of this team, it's going to be because of Derek Carr. I would keep an eye on Derek Carr. There's going to be a lot of people watching these Raiders over the next few weeks. And if they don't combust.
Wait a minute. Hold on. The Danettes went away.
Here we go.
I can't put Derek Carr in front of Kyler Murray. Can't do it. No, can't. I think you need a nap.
I've been up for a lot of hours. I think Kyler's 6-0. He's in the conversation, and I wouldn't argue if he was the MVP right now. But right now with all the stuff that he's got going on with D-Hop and AJ Green and that great defense and JJ Watt, I think that's a collective effort right now. What Derek Carr's doing in Las Vegas with the burden that he'll have on his shoulders moving forward with the head coach being replaced in the fashion that he was. I think I love doing this. This is classic sports radio. There's an argument that can be made without me saying he is the MVP.
The Bills getting off the hook here with what happened last night. You know, I think everybody thought they were going to win this game.
I was one of them.
Yeah.
Is there a bit of hubris with this Bills team that they beat the Chiefs and they're like, all right, it's done. Let's call it a season.
Yeah.
We're good. They look good last night. The defense, though, got some humble pie. I think we were riding high on that Bills defense off of shutouts against, teams like Miami and teams like Houston, and then beating up on Washington, which we've seen. But I thought that Chiefs game was like a major moment in this Bills franchise history. Like, we're going to quite figuratively and literally like leap over the Chiefs, which they did. And Josh Allen had that jump. And then to fall the very next week with all the people saying the Bills are the best team in football, the second you finally crown the Bills, they have this loss where the Titans were all sorts of banged up. The Titans, they were down 10 late, and they still found a way to win. It's not a good one for the Bills. They certainly don't walk away going into the bye saying, oh, I feel great about Buffalo. And yet their upcoming opponents, Jaguars, Dolphins, Jets, Colts, they'll be fine.
He's Peter Schrager, co-host of NFL Network's Good Morning Football. You start to look at contenders and those who are not contenders. The Lions, Dan Campbell called out Jared Goff, says he's going to shake things up. It's a team that's winless. You've got Goff going back to the Rams. Could you see Jared Goff being benched for that game? Because nobody knows Jared Goff the way the Rams know Jared Goff. Could you see Dan Campbell making a quarterbacking change going into that game this weekend?
I made the joke on Good Morning Football. It's like when Brady went back to New England, the folks at NBC did the Adele video. What are you doing with Jared Goff going back to LA? Like, do we have something for it? It's the opposite of hello. It might be goodbye. No, he's going to play. I'd be shocked if Campbell did anything. I think that was a little bit of a rattle your cage, but I watched that whole press conference. There were about 10 questions about Goff in which he was supporting him. And finally he relented and he's like, yes, he needs to step up, but everyone needs to step up. The talent deficiency on that roster compared to other teams in the league is vast. I'm not making any excuses for Jared Goff. He's never won a game without McVay. It would be great for him to shock the world and get one here, but he's not likely going to do that. It's going to be a rough season for the Lions. I think they knew that. I don't know if I'm all for, and I can't control a man's emotions, but when you cry on the podium in week 5 and then the team loses 27-0 at home to the Bengals the following week, you've got to pace yourself now. Okay. So now Dan Campbell, it's week 6. We're going into week 7. I would imagine they get blown out against the Rams. That's going to be Stafford looking to make a statement. How do you handle the next 10 weeks? And I want to see what kind of fortitude, not only Goff, but the head coach has to get through this thing, because you could cry once, you could maybe cry twice, 3 times, then you might lose the team with that kind of stuff. So we'll see. He's a ball of emotion, the coach. The quarterback is going through it right now. Would love to see them fight in this game on Sunday. I'm just not sure I see it.
It feels like everything's good with Jacksonville. They got to win. Nobody's talking about Urban Meyer, right? Is he kind of survived the storm here?
There was some other news last week, and I think everyone looked at the Urban Meyer situation and said, all right, we're moving on to a different topic. And I say that flippantly. It was a terrible week for the NFL. It was a horrific week for the NFL. But Jacksonville, they got out of town. Well, that was all going on our network and on your network, and everyone was dealing with the fallout of what was a chilling few days. Jacksonville left the country. Urban Meyer news kind of faded to the background, and they focused on winning a football game that they probably had no right winning at the end there. There were some defensive questions on Miami, and then the Jaguars stole one there. And now they come back, and it's like, okay, let's get above water. We got the bye. Let's come out of this thing, and we'll see what we can do. But I don't think anyone's calling for Urban Meyer's head right now, and I certainly don't think that franchise is collapsing by any means under Urban Meyer, whether it would happen in Columbus, Ohio or not.
Aaron Rodgers with his shout out to the Bears fans. It's almost like it felt like Aaron was playing the role of victim. Like, you guys yelled at me and flipped me off, and I'm going to yell back at you. What do you make of Aaron Rodgers owning the Chicago Bears comment?
It was something, huh? I get that as like his farewell moment. That was like his walk off. I don't think he's gonna necessarily play in that building as a division rival moving forward. So that was kind of maybe his last one. But what was funny was Kyle Brandt in our show was like, it might be a straw man. I don't know if anyone actually was giving him the middle finger. And then we got 1,000 tweets from Packers fans of like 1 million Bears fans giving him the middle finger. Like, yes, no, they were, absolutely were. I guess he got caught up in the emotion of that thing. I have no problem with it. And I don't love that kind of stuff a lot of times, but the nature of that history of that rivalry and the respect that he has shown some of those Bears players over the years, whether it be Urlacher or Peanut or Lance Briggs, earlier in the week saying those guys should be Hall of Famers. I kind of liked it. It was such a play. It was such a moment. It was raw emotion, something we don't always get from these guys.
Yeah. The other topic that I found interesting, and you know how this goes, Pete, it goes week to week, where Jimmy Johnson says, hey, I would take Justin Herbert over Patrick Mahomes on the Fox pregame show. It opened the door for everybody to go, I'd take Justin Herbert over Patrick. I go, what just happened? What happened? Like, all of a sudden, everybody has decided that they're off the Patrick Mahomes bandwagon. Then he throws a couple of picks against Washington. You know, the vitriol there, Twitter just like, yep, he's washed. Oh, my God, they're stuck with that contract now with Patrick.
That was the craziest one. All the contract experts came out of the woodwork on Twitter, and they're like, look at what they're stuck with, almost making this argument that, like, they would undo that contract if they could. And I shouldn't be so dismissive of it because they have been really sloppy this year. And he's got 8 interceptions. He had 6 all last year. And some of these interceptions are not on him. And his mother will tell you that over Twitter. And some of them are. But then something happened with about 3 minutes left in the third quarter. He has that touchdown to Tyreek. And if you watch the final, I know it's Washington, but if you watch the final 18 minutes of that game, it looked like the Chiefs of old. And they just absolutely lit it up. They went from having 10 points to finishing with 31. Mahomes could not be stopped. Tyreek Hill and Kelsey did whatever they wanted. And it was like a little taste of like, don't count us out just yet. And in the same week where we see the Chargers get humbled a bit, we see the Bills get humbled a bit, Chiefs are right behind them. They're 3-3 and they're lurking. It's the last team I would want to face in the playoffs, especially that quarterback.
Rams or the Chargers? All in.
Rams. There's a pressure for the Rams this year that it's like, this is why we are trading future first-round picks. This is why we went out and got this guy. Anything short of that run is a letdown. For the Chargers, I think this is a bit of a house money year. You've got a young quarterback on a rookie contract and a first-year head coach. If they make the playoffs, that's a great season for the Chargers. I don't think anyone's talking actual Super Bowl right now. Maybe they get there. But the Rams, I think it would be a disappointment if they didn't make that game.
But imagine what a Super Bowl would do for Matthew Stafford's career.
Yeah.
Like, Matt Ryan at least has an MVP.
Yeah.
And he had the appearance in the Super Bowl.
And what it would do moving forward, that's 2 years in a row that a team said, screw it, let's go get the guy. Like, let's go get the guy, whoever it may be. Let's go make a way to happen. Next year, I think there's going to be a lot of conversations about Russell Wilson. It all stems from your very show last year, but it did give a little window into Russell's mindset. And Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson, go get the guy. It works. That's what Tampa Bay did, and that is what the Rams did, and they were significantly better right out of the gates because of an upgrade at the most important position. I think, it would help redefine his career, obviously, and it would redefine the way we look at Matthew Stafford's entire 13 years in the NFL. But it would also redefine the way you look at an offseason. Yes, built through the draft, but if you can go get your guy at quarterback, go get him. Okay,
more likely to be on a different team next year, Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers?
I think Aaron Rodgers. I think just the way that thing just we limped into the regular season with one of these deals. We're like, all right, let's see what happens. I don't know how this ends up for either one of these guys. And I know Mike Florio's big on hey, if Russell was upset last year with what they did, he's certainly going to be upset this year with what's going on. I just think it's a little trickier with the contract with Russell, and with Rodgers, there is an exit plan, and there's Jordan Love, and there's almost a whetting of the appetite with the Packers fan base that, hey, this might be the last ride. The Russell thing would be a really abrupt change for Seattle.
Yeah, I don't think Russ ends his career there. I don't know. I would be surprised if he's there next year.
Really surprised. You would say you would have a 50% chance. You'd say it's a greater chance he's not there next year.
Well, let's say they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know. At some point, Russ is looking at his legacy. I think you have to go back to that, a couple of days after the Super Bowl when he came on. He saw Brady still being Brady, and he saw Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, and probably says, what about me? Like, he's now thinking bigger picture, what's my legacy going to be? He's not winning anything in Seattle. And I think Brady opened everybody's eyes to quarterback empowerment. And I think that's where Russ said, I want to have a say. I want to be able to say who we're going to draft or bring in. Aaron Rodgers wanted to have a say. Deshaun Watson wanted to have a say. I think Russ just said, hey, is anybody going to listen to me? That's why I think he was shouting from the mountaintops when he came on. I don't think anything's different. Same head coach, same GM, same philosophy. I just get the feeling Russ is going to go, I got to win another championship here. I've only got one. I want to be one of the greats of all time.
He's got two of the best receivers in the sport. He's got an offensive coordinator that he helped handpick. And he is Mr. Seattle if he stays there forever. I mean, that is his city forever, and it's what it is.
I know.
But
they're not going to win.
It's going to be tough. And when you give Jamal Adams all that money and you trade your next 2 first-round picks for a safety, it doesn't help Russell Wilson's cause in any way of saying, hey, we got this much better this offseason.
Thursday night, it's Browns and the Broncos.
On that note.
Got injuries. Everybody's got injuries. How much pressure is on Baker Mayfield this year?
A ton. And it's the contract extension looming because where do you peg him? Like,
would you give him a contract extension? Would you give him $45 million a year?
I would wait. I would wait to see what we get this season.
Okay.
If you're missing the playoffs and Baker's out there, then what are we getting for that money? And maybe it's time to move on. But like the Jets knew they weren't doing anything with Sam Darnold. They ripped the Band-Aid off. They said, let's get something for him. The Browns, I think a lot of people thought they would sign him to a deal similar to Josh Allen after last year's playoff run but they haven't. So they're waiting. They're seeing how this thing plays out. And I think Thursday night, if he plays, it's tough as nails for him to play. But gosh, it's a long season. I don't think it's the craziest thing to say, hey, let Keenum have one here on the short week, and then I'll get back in afterwards. We'll see how it plays out, though.
Yeah. You're supposed to build up the hype for Thursday night football.
Do or die, both these teams. I think that's good. I don't need Baker out there. Give me a team that's playing for everything. Both these teams have hit the skids the last few weeks. They need it. How's that for hype?
Okay, now I'm watching. I'm going to watch that game. Case Keenum, Teddy Bridgewater.
Case Keenum revenge game. Okay.
Yeah, but there's a few of those. Case has been on a few teams there.
Yes.
Thank you, Pete. Safe travels this week. Always great to catch up with you.
Great catching up. And one name for you, an NBA player, Paul Millsap, a net. I had no idea.
Thank you, Peter. Yes. Paul Millsap.